The next step in our reloading videos is the priming operation. I'm going to show you priming as a separate operation. Most reloading presses have some sort of automatic primer where you can resize the die and on the downstroke prime your brass. The reason I used to do priming as a separate operation is I used to reload a lot of military brass with the crimps. I had the crimp primer pockets. And there's extra work, as I went over in the video, of what to do, and it's always kind of difficult, and you always get stuff that just won't get a primer back in them pockets. And I ended up resorting to where I did the priming as a separate operation, and that's why I have the equipment to do it. Another reason you may want to do it is, say you buy used equipment. You go to a yard sale or an auction or a flea market, and maybe somebody will have a press, you know, like this, a used press, and however they got it or why they're selling it, you know, all the little accessories that go with it are gone. You know, you can pick it up pretty cheap, and you know, you won't have your primer set up or something, or pieces missing or broken. And sometimes the companies will have the spare parts. You can get them. They may be hard to find, or just unavailable, or kind of pricey in getting the extra little bits and pieces that are missing. So I'll cover priming, and I'll try to reposition the camera so we can get a closer look at what we're doing here. Okay. First thing you're going to probably need, and it's kind of a must, is what they call a primer flip tray. And this one came with a reloader I had. And you need this to more or less handle the primers without them getting spilled around. They usually have a little surface in there, and I'll get a few in here to show you. Just dump out some primers into the tray. And as you see, you can see, they're all in, try to zoom that in there. You know, up, down, some are facing with the end that goes internally up, and with the anvil up, some are with the base up. So the reason you use the flip tray is to get them positioned right and pick them up with your tubes. And I'll get into tubes here in a minute. All your priming systems, most of them have little tubes. I'll show you how to load a tube and use it on one. Okay, so we got our primer flip tray, and we have our reloading block set up with our rifle brass that's sized, ready to go. And I'll show you how the reloading block comes into play here. And what I have here is just a basic little Lyman hand press with priming set up in it. And what we need, I'll set this up on my press to show you how it basically works, but I have to get the shell holder. You're going to need a shell holder. So you select your proper shell holder. You run the ram down, so the little, see the little priming thing, it's on a little spring-loaded thing in here. You run this down. Slide the shell holder into the adapter, and then try to get a closer look at this. And then you just run it up, and that's what seats the primer into the case. So with this here, I just run it up a ways. I take a primer, set it in there, put the base down, like that, see, it comes up. And then basically you just slide a case in, like this. And this is where your feel and pressure comes in. And then you just give it a nudge, and you got a primed case. Check it to make sure it's flush. It's not sticking up. If it's sticking up a little or doesn't seem flush, put it back in, give it another little push, and then we go into our loading block, tail up, so you can see what cases we have primed and which we don't have primed. Okay. And just to give you a better look at what's going on, I'll set this up in my O-frame press. So you got just a little spring-loaded thing there. That's for large rifle. You'll have two sizes on this little spring-loaded cup thing. You'll have for large and small. This is for large, either rifle or pistol, and then you'll have a small size. And that just snaps in where the shell holder goes. It's a little aluminum adapter that holds your shell holder. Screw that in there in the top. Shell holder snaps in there. And take a primer. With the base down, it might be easier to run this up. Just set the primer down correctly. Snap a case into the shell holder and till it's sealed. So, there you go. Another prime case. Okay, now I'm going to show you a different setup, which is basically an actual tool that primes, and we're going to go over that one. And I'll show you how to load tubes and stuff, because this has an automatic feed. Okay, now regardless of which system you use, if you're using a priming system with automatic feed, there's always going to be these little primer tubes. Whether it's on a progressive reloader or a tool or even a single stage press with an automatic feed will have some sort of tube. Now, this is a feed tube with a little device I'm going to use, the RCBS. And this is where your priming flip tray comes into play. As you see, the primers some of them have the base up and some of them are not when you dump them out of the box. Don't worry about that. So what you want to do is with the ones that have the base up, you want to put them into the tube so that way when they're flipped, it's flipped over and the tube has, get it down, a little cotter pin through it. And this keeps always got to make sure when you're filling the tube that your pin or whatever holds them in there or the primers will all fall out. And when you stick this in a device, you want it so when the primer comes out, the anvil side is facing up. So that means you want to go from the base side, and they have like a little slit in there, and what that does is you take that and just press them over just press right over the base, and it fills that tube up. Okay, now that's all the ones that I got with the base up in the tube. The ones that are facing with the anvil up, you put your cover on your primer flip tray, you flip it, and now they're base up. See? And then they're in line, and you pick them up. And usually the progressive loaders will hold 100 primers. I don't think this tube will hold a whole box of primers. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know. It's been a while since I used this. Now I'll show you how to set it up on the priming tool. Alright, this is our RCBS priming tool. It makes priming a separate operation. And as you see, you have these shafts, two different sizes, small and large. And it's for, small or large, either or, rifle or pistol. You take your correct shell holder. And just like on a loading press, it has a little slot in there, and you snap that in and get it in place. Then you take the large one, is what we need, and drop that down through the holder. And as you see, this arm will lift the priming arm up and down. And we take our tube with primers in. We place it in this here, and then you remove the cotter pin. So now gravity will feed the primers down. And basically what you do is push down on this, and it snaps that over, and see, I think you can see it, and it drops the primer in. Let's get a case, lower this, slide the unprimed case on, push up, again feel, you got it all the way down, take it out, check it. That one's sticking up a hair. Give it a little nudge. That's better. And then we go to our reloading block with the base up. And we'll do it, and a lot of automatic primers work on the same way. Then you push it all the way down, strip in another primer, pull the lever up, and then and another prime case. And that's a little quicker than just doing it, picking each one up by hand. I use the other one when I watch TV or just bored in the house. But this here, I'll get this tray of 50 done pretty quick. Okay, that's it for priming. Any questions or whatever, please feel free to send me an email or put something in the comments. Thank you.